everyone. Glad to see that many of you made it to today's webinar. I'm Wenny. I'm one of the regional product leads for YouTube and Demand Gen, currently based in Dublin, but originally born and raised in Brussels. Very excited to also be your facilitator for today's session, where we'll talk about Bio 3.1, Gemini, Nano Banana, and just the future of ads, campaigns, and creatives in general. Before we start, some quick housekeeping. So there is a chat in this webinar, which you can use to ask questions during the session. There will also be an extended Q&A as well today. So hopefully we'll be able to answer as many of the audience questions as possible. There will also be a rewatch available, and a summary of the key takeaways will be sent as well after the session. For today's speakers, we have myself, we have Teresa, our customer engineer, who is also back by popular demand after the last webinar. We have Liza, who will join us at the end for the Q&A to answer some questions, as she is our Gen AI specialist within the company. And then lastly, we also have special guest Vince from Loop, who is a senior creative technologist and who will tell us all about his experience using Gen AI for their creatives. So agenda for today, we'll start by understanding why it matters to have good creatives and how it can drive your campaign performance. Next up, we'll deep dive into VO3 and other Gemini tools like Nano Banana. And then Loop Earplugs will also walk us through their process of how they used and leveraged VO3 for their campaign creatives. And then lastly, we have the live Q&A with everyone. So yeah, as you can see, it's a very packed agenda. So let's dive right in. So why should all of you care about creative? Well, while media gets your ad seen, ultimately it's the creative that makes them matter, and that will kind of stick really with the audience, right? And there is a research that has backed this up. So a study actually from NCS showed that creative is the #1 return on investment driver across all the media platforms. So while your media mix and your brand is really important, understanding ultimately how and why your consumers respond to a certain creative will lead to a greater return on investment in the end. And we really see this across the entire funnel, and optimizing your creatives really does bring return on investment on all the different parts. So whether that is trying to reach new audiences and build awareness with your video reach campaigns, generating and converting demand with Demand Gen, or even driving low funnel conversions with PMax. And this creative optimization is really driven by two things. First is driving asset variety and making sure that you have all of the different specs and recommended assets in place for each campaign. For this, we have already a lot of tools readily available in ads that I will quickly show you in a minute. And then second part to that creative optimization is ultimately, quote unquote, making better ads, and in particularly ensuring that you have high quality, relevant, and engaging ads for the audience. And this is where VO can help. So quickly, let's take a look at the tools that you already have at hand right now in your Google Ads account to drive really that asset variety. First, we have video enhancements. So what this feature does, it really helps you just create extra versions of your already current existing video by, for example, as you can see, turning your horizontal video into a vertical format. And this is really easily done with just a click of a button in the UI. So that's super, super easy and very fast for you to ensure you have all the formats ready. Then we also have the trim video feature. So that is really helpful if you want to create a shorter 6-second bumper, for example, from your current assets. No need to be very skilled in all the editing. It's very useful to just make sure that you can ensure that the bumper asset is also available and super easy and to navigate as well. And then the last one, it's a fairly new feature But the one I'm also most excited about, and that is the image editing. So that allows you pretty much to replace a background, add or erase an object from your current existing image. And that is all done with a single prompt. And then on top of that, there's also the bulk editing feature that lets you edit up to 100 images all at once in one single session. I would definitely recommend checking this one out, especially for the upcoming Black Friday and end of year campaigns. It really will help you just create seasonal versions of your existing assets, and it can enhance relevance also for your audience. And I will show you a quick demo right now, so you can see how easy it is really to navigate it in real life. Cool, so I'm now in the Google Ads UI. So as you can see, I'm in the Asset Studio. There are all the different features that I just mentioned. And let's go into the bulk editing one. So we start by just importing some of the images. So let's say you have different products that you want to, use for your upcoming seasonal campaign. And now you want to make it more festive and tailored to this time of the year. So there's two ways. So you can generate a new background, and then you can just put in a very basic prompt pretty much. As you can see, I said seasonal Christmas related kind of campaign. And the great part is that you can refine it. So Gemini is going to make it more descriptive. And you can always edit it or reword it as well at some point. So as you can see, it's a lot more detailed. If you're happy with that, you can then just generate. It will take a bit of time to generate, but you can easily just come back later to do it. Just for sake of time, as you can see now, this is sort of the final output. You can see that the festive theme is incorporated in all of the images, really very easy, and all in one go pretty much. So if you're happy with all of that, you can just save it into a new kind of folder for your campaigns to then import them. As you can see, you can just save them, and they're pretty much kind of ready to use for your upcoming campaigns. So hope that was inspiring, and that will all make you try this feature right after the webinar. Then we also have the second aspect of creative optimization as well, which is to make quote unquote better ads. If you feel like you don't have a video to begin with, or you think that it's too complex and expensive, we have the beauty of Gen AI right at our disposal right now, which is a great part. And I will hand it over now to Teresa, who will walk us through the tools like Bio, Nano Banana, and Gemini.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Wen. Super excited to be here again after last time's webinar. If you haven't checked that one out yet, feel free to go ahead and do so. But I'm coming today with a bunch of new updates. And super excited again as a customer engineer coming in to talk about these tools and show you how it works. So we'll explore the AI-driven creative workflow. We'll look at Veo 3.1, which is the latest version of our video generation model, Nano Banana as well, and then look at really what makes them so powerful and how you can really harness this power to get started with your creative workflows. So let's dive right in. So again, we're here today in what we call the next era of AI, because AI, it's basically everywhere, especially generative AI, and it's fundamentally changing how we work, how we create, and how we ultimately connect with audiences. And I always like to say this a lot because it's at Google, it's not just any trend, it's not just a hype, even though, I mean, it also is, but it's backed by decades of research and development. And I really want to highlight this. And it comes, again, two key points that I want you to take away today, especially, are that Veo and Nano Banana and our generative models are built on a deep and trusted foundation. And this comes from two key areas, essentially. So on the one hand, we have deep AI expertise that doesn't just come from anywhere, but they are based on products that we have in the hands of billions of users worldwide, like search. You will probably know Google Photos as well. A lot of these tools already leverage AI. So our AI is essentially battle tested by, again, billions of users around the world. And then the other part is that all of this is part of Google DeepMind's cutting edge research. And for those of you who have been following AI and the new developments, Google DeepMind has been at the forefront of this for decades. So what I'm just want to highlighting here is that the models we talk about today, they're not just any new tool. They're part of cutting edge of AI research, rigorously tested and built to be helpful and safe. Now, all of this, here's kind of the overview of the models that we're talking about today. And at the heart of it all is Gemini. And the title of the slide couldn't be more true today. Our Gemini models keep improving because the Gemini 3 model was released just 1.5-2 days ago. And it's another giant leap in the realm of generative AI, especially agentic AI. Today, we'll focus on Veo 3.1 and Gemini 2.5/image, so Veo and Nano Banana. They're part of the same powerful multimodal ecosystem. So they do have the same core understanding of language, images, and many other modalities and concepts. So they will understand your input much better and provide an output depending on what we're looking at. But let's start with Veo. So Veo 3.1. Our latest video generation model, with Veo getting from a simple text or image input to incredibly realistic video content has never been this easy. And talking about constant improvement, I've already teasered this a little bit. Veo 3.1 was released just a couple of weeks ago as the latest advancement of Veo 3. Now let's take a look here. So for the people of you that have already been using Veo 3 before, you still get that multimodality with Veo, meaning you can put in image and or text, but you can get the output of video and audio within a single turn. And so not only generating the visual aspect of it, but also get the background noise, sound, the audio with it in a single turn. And Veo 3.1 comes with even greater realism, fidelity, and audiovisual quality. So it really brings your scenes to life. You can generate scenes with specific cinematic styles, create compelling narratives depending on what your creativity allows you to do, and also better depict interactions between characters now. And so these advancements are in a sense of what a general model update always kind of entails, better quality overall. But there are especially three key aspects that I wanted to highlight that Veo 3.1 comes with. First, it really stands out with prompt adherence. Prompt adherence is a key aspect that I talk about with a lot of customers on a daily basis. So prompt adherence, essentially, you'll hear probably from Vince at the end as well. That's essentially how well does Veo adhere to the prompt, the instructions that you give to the model. How well does it actually stick to what you put in? Essentially, this goes back to how much control you have over what Veo outputs and how fast you'll get to a point of being satisfied with the output that you get, right? It's all about getting to the output faster. So prompt adherence is one where Veo 3.1 tops it off even more. Number two is character, style, and scene consistency. This is a key aspect and has been a key pain point as well. So how do you actually make sure that your characters, especially your products, they're consistently depicted and Veo doesn't take them and distort them, change the color, whatever it does to them, but you have that consistency displayed in the video output at the end of the day. So having that consistency, this is something where I will show you a key feature here that is now part of the new Veo 3.1 release that makes it so much easier to get that. And then ultimately it comes down to point 3, which is control from start to finish. You have a few additional tools, as I said, next to your prompt that will make it so much easier to control the video output. So let's look at what that is. So first of all, Some concrete examples, as I said, you have native audio generation that brings your scenes to life. So really allowing you to convey a certain mood with the sound, make your videos really immersive, all in a single turn. And that also supports the vertical format, all for your social media presence. So take a look at this example here. So really looking at how you can convey a certain mood by making use of that multimodality there. And then the features that I mentioned that give you that additional layer of control over your video output are two that I want to mention. And the first one is ingredients to video, or we also call it reference to video, where I'll show an example in a second. You're able to upload up to 3 reference images of a certain scene, of a character or a person, or an object. So things like your products. So you can upload images and give a reference to video to stick to this reference. And then the second part is a first to last frame interpolation, which I'll get to after that. But let's just take a look at reference to video first. So here, just to show you an example, here we have 3 images that were uploaded to this example for a video to be generated. So you have a character first that you might want to depict, basically depending on geography or certain demographics that you want to target. So you have a character and then a product picture that's uploaded as well. In this case, it's several products in one image, but it can also be just one targeted product image and a scene where you place it. With these 3 reference images, they created the following example.
Hello, is anybody here? What's going on?
Here you can really see how it sticks to the character. It gives you that level of control over the consistency and how the products are placed into the scene seamlessly, making it really, giving you that look and feel that stays consistent. It doesn't distort it. And then to the last feature that I wanted to mention here. So first to last frame interpolation. So this gives you an additional tool now to go from one frame to another, and then Veo will produce a smooth transition between the two. Just to show you an example here.
When you look me in the eyes, I can see a million stars.
Yeah, this is just an additional feature that gives you control next to the prompt and the other settings that you have as part of the newest Veo 3.1 release. Now, why are we talking about this? Again, just reverting back to, why should you even care? Why should you think about creating videos with Veo, apart from the fact that it's super impressive and also super fun? But let's look at the why. Let's look at this answer with a tangible look at the cost. So if you want to create a second of highly realistic video with Veo, you spend, depending on the settings, right around 40 cents per second. And now this example that you see on the slide here, I've shown it similarly last time. So this just brings it home and conveys the big difference that the video creation with Veo can entail. So here someone just went ahead and, there was an original commercial recreated for $500,000, and then the recreation of it using AI tools for just $50. Now, again, we could dive into the details and you can tweak it. It's, iterate more depending on where you want to get. But we can all agree that you get a similar output for a very different range of cost, right? $500,000 versus $50 is a very different story. And so this is very much about not only the cost, but also the creative possibilities that are unlocked, the workflow that this supports. So you can test dozens and dozens of different concepts for the cost of a single traditional photo shoot. So it's more about the ideation and getting you to the point of having something faster, and unlocking those creative possibilities and getting your imagination wild. So much about Veo. Let's move on to the world of images and talk about Gemini 2.5 Flash Image. Or most of you will probably know it much better under the name of Nano Banana. And I don't think I've seen a model that has been this hyped, this fast. You can see some examples here where people went ahead and went, well, we like to say they went really bananas, pun intended. So yeah, let's actually look at what Nano Banana entails and what you can actually do with it. So Gemini 2.5 flash image, or let's stick to Nano Banana. That's a bit easier to say. So Nano Banana makes it so much easier to get to image outputs, to create and edit images, interact with your images in a conversational manner. So it's part of the Gemini portfolio, right? You get that conversational experience of creating and interacting with your image outputs. So you can go from text to image, even from image and text to image. You can compose multiple images together, transfer styles if you would like that. And then one key thing that I'm talking to customers a lot as well is the topic of character consistency, where you're able to have and stick with the same character and just place it into different scenes with incredible ease and get to multiple outputs, scale up with your assets just this fast and this easy. So these are just some of the features that Nano Banana brings with it. A lot of you have probably already experimented around with it. And I just wanted to also highlight the flow that we are like, or just an example of how easy it is. So if you, let's say, want to display a certain product, in this case, a Pixel phone, and create certain assets with it, right? Maybe you want to target it, tailor it to a certain demographic or geographic area, and you might want to have a certain character that you place into your assets and your images. So now in this case, we have a model and we have our phone, and we just prompt Nano Banana to let that character or the person hold the phone. And then you might realize, well, actually, but I would like her to stand on a rooftop bar in Brooklyn. So you just prompt that. So it's kind of that reactive type of editing, really giving you a flow and be able to, react to what Nano Banana gives you, and then edit step by step. And then from there, you could go, put that model or the character in front of a mirror, on the couch, let her stand in the city, whatever your creativity allows you to do, essentially. But it's just this easy to get from step to step and get that multiple asset variety with Nano Banana. And just to highlight the top 5 creative capabilities here. So as I said before, you're able to compose multiple reference images. Maybe you have certain products that you want to put together in one scene. That's something that you can do very easily with Nano Banana as well. Again, this conversational type of editing, multi-turn editing through prompts, being able to be reactive and kind of talk to your model. You get that character and object consistency that you really need for your products and your characters. And then you are able to transfer styles, if you like, just to adapt according to your creativity, and just change it through a prompt or a reference image. So you can control through reference images or through text. You have these different modalities as tools there. And then you can also sketch to image to bring your ideas to life. Those are the top 5. And then I always also like to highlight that these models, Veo 3.1 and Nano Banana, and also Gemini, they're individual, very, very capable models. They have impressive capabilities, but it's also important to note that they do not have to be used in isolation. So in fact, when you have Nano Banana, you have Gemini, you have Veo, there's certain capabilities that you can make use of. So let's say you want to get to a video output in the end. What you can do is let Gemini actually do the prompt for you. This is similar to what Wen showed before, where you let Gemini refine your prompts, because Gemini will give you that just a high level, an additional level of detail in the prompt that will give you, these image assets with high detail and high control. So you can start, let Gemini make the prompts, go from the prompts to images with Nano Banana first. Maybe create some variety there, put your characters in different scenes, scale up with all the assets that you want to have. And from there, you go a step further and put those images into Veo, do interpolation between the frames, create different scenes, go from image to video. All these capabilities, they really intertwine super well. And so again, don't necessarily only use the tools in isolation, but let them work with each other. that works really well and supports you in your workflow very, very well to get to that high quality output that much faster. So much about those models. But I just also want to tell you or leave you with where you can actually use these. So Gemini, Nano Banana, Veo, where can you access them? There's several options, and I just want to break it down here a bit. So first you have Google AI Studio. This is one option. Then you have Vertex AI. And then it's also part of, some of you might have heard it, of our latest release of Gemini Enterprise or Gemini Business. So kind of as a productivity, agentic platform for your internal employees. If that's a platform that you can and want to use, if you want to give Veo and the other models in the hands of your employees, this is a platform to go. Otherwise, you have Google AI Studio. That's great for individual creators to get started. If you're looking to experiment, you have a subscription access via monthly AI plan, and you can access it with a personal account. But then if you go from that experimenting around to creating at scale, to getting enterprise and security features with the newest model features attached to it, that's where we go, and would recommend you to go to Vertex AI on Google Cloud. There, anything you do with these models will be on a pay-as-you-go basis. So you only pay for what you actually use and produce. These are the options. And just to show you how you would actually get started on Vertex AI, I have a quick overview for you as part of this video. So I'll just walk you through it here. So how do you get started using Veo, Nano Banana, and other generative media models on Vertex AI? So Vertex AI is part of the Google Cloud portfolio. So the first thing that you're going to do is navigate to cloud.google.com, and then you'll see a page that looks something like this, essentially the Google Cloud homepage. And from there, you can directly go to this button that says Start Now for Free. When you click on it, it will guide you through the setup process. So the first thing here is you enter an email address. This doesn't have to be a Gmail account or a Google account or anything like that. You just start with your work email address, especially if you get started setting this up for your business. So you enter that here and then click further. Now, I've already gone through this, so I'm just going to show you what that looks like roughly. If you provided your email address, you essentially only go through 2 steps of account setup. You provide your country, agree to the terms of service, and then continue. In the next step, they will be asking for some payment information. Now, I just want to highlight there will not be any automatic charges. As I said, this is just for you to leverage the services on Vertex AI later on, so that you don't get any hurdles there. But anything that we'll be talking about here is on a pay-as-you-go basis, so you only pay for what you use, and there will, again, not be any automatic charges just by setting this up. This is entirely for free. As a matter of fact, you'll get $300 worth of credits to get started. So you go through this, and then you will already land in the Google Cloud Console itself and be greeted by a welcoming page that looks something like this. So you see here, you are in a free trial, you get $300 of credits, or an equivalent of 258 euros, and you can directly activate the full account if you want to keep using it afterwards. You'll not use or lose your credits by doing this. So from here, this is already the minimal setup required. As an individual user, you can now go ahead and go to Vertex AI and start using Veo. This is how easy it is. I just wanted to highlight 3 things essentially. The first thing is the project, the second is an organization, and the third will be a billing account. Regarding the project, you see here through this setup, a project has already been set up for you. It's called My First Project. You're also able to always change projects up here if you click on this and create new ones. You can see this project has a number and a unique identifier associated with it. And then what you want to do, maybe if you start as a team especially, you might want to add people to your project. So highly recommend going through these steps here. You might want to set up budget alerts as well in order to have a good and transparent overview of your spending, and especially also avoid any accidental overspending. So this really highly recommend to go through it. And then again, next to the project, also really recommend if you get started as a team and want to really have the proper setup on Vertex AI, also go and look at an organization and a billing account. An organization is essentially the digital identity of your company, which allows you to centrally manage all projects, all users, user rights, and all that type of stuff. And then the billing account will allow you to centrally manage all your billing, get billing reports, and have everything centrally organized there. Very, very important and highly recommended to go through. If you don't want to remember any of this, there's also a setup page dedicated for this. So if you just look for setup, you can go to this page that says Google Cloud Setup, and there's guides that guide you through that, as well as in our official documentation. Now, let's just go ahead and go get started with using Vertex AI or VO Nano Banana. So now with anything, you can also just always search for Vertex AI in the top bar, or all the products and services will also be available in the sidebar. So you can see here, that's where you'll find Vertex AI. And if you go on this, you will land directly in Vertex AI Studio. Here you can get started with using Gemini. And if you want to go get started with using generative media like VO Nano Banana, you click on generative media here. You might need to enable any APIs here to use other features if you see this banner. And then here you'll directly see insights into where you can get started with Nano Banana, Imagine, VO, etc. and click on it to interact with the models. Or you can go get inspired here. There's a couple of examples that we provide you to get started with existing prompts, images, output videos, etc. I'm just clicking on VO to show you how this looks like. Here's your interactive playground with VO in this case, so you can start writing your prompts, upload an image to go from image to video, and you have a couple of settings on the side to go through as well, like choosing the model, for example, or other settings to go through. And this is how easy it is to get started with using VO, Nano Banana, and other generative media models on Vertex AI. All right, so much for this setup. And without further ado, I'll just go and continue, just mindful of time, so we can also go over your questions later. But just to also really highlight, once you've done this, once you've set it up and you got started, you created your first videos, always really important to get confident with your prompts. And the art of prompting is really one to master. And what I really like to show, I showed this last time as well, is the concept of GIGO. So garbage in, garbage out. That's what it stands for. So essentially what this means is just that the quality of your video you get from VO will directly relate to the quality of the prompt. So the instruction you put in. Obviously, there's additional tools and features now. You can obviously go from image to video. We also have this reference to video feature now that gives you that additional layer of control next to the prompt. But the prompt will always be the main control you have over the output. So a little effort in crafting a prompt goes a very long way. And Vince will also talk about his experience with that, which will be super valuable. Just a couple of best practices kind of as a reminder here. So 4 points that I would always like to mention with my customers as well is that what's really important is to have first clarity in language, be really clear and direct, avoid confusing the model, and don't talk to it like it's your best friend. Really make every word count, like you're the director of your video. Then it's important that your prompt is very detailed. As I said, leveraging Gemini for that is, for example, a real advantage. It's important that you don't leave anything vague or room for interpretation. Be as detailed and descriptive as possible, because this is how you take control over your video output at the end of the day. And then you have to go one scene at a time. Most of you might know that the outputs from VO are 8 seconds clips. So a common mistake is trying to do too much in a single prompt. Try to just bear in mind that it's 8 seconds, and you should have a clear understanding what is in one scene and what should be in another one. Don't put too many things in there, because then it might feel rushed or be incomplete. And then what's always going to be there is the iteration and experimentation part of it. It's not going to be perfect from the start, and it's important to just monitor your output, look at where it deviates from the prompt, and then go from there. And when it comes to the prompt structure, the art of prompting, again, as I said, can be mastered. And what we found really helpful in our conversations and through experiments is that, again, you want to be clear and structured. And if you break it down into these, well, in this case, 9 points, which we call the anatomy of the prompt. So this is what gives you that optimal control over your output. This approach helps breaking it down, really looking at the individual pieces, and then take it from there. And then I'll leave it to Vince to talk about that in more detail. But before I do so, just a couple of resources for you. Again, you can get started on Google AI Studio or Vertex AI directly to create video at scale. There's also a prompt playbook that will help you get started with, specifically with VO 3.1. And then there's also the best practices for ABCD that we are having available among the link there. So we covered a lot today, but with that, I will now hand it over to Vince, who will come with his own experiences from his real creations with Loop. Super excited to hear about it.
Thank you very much. All right, next slide. So I'm Vince, creative technologist at Loop Earplugs, based in Antwerp, but currently in Galway in beautiful Ireland. Without further ado, I'm going to show you the AI ATL above the line video we made. We've actually made two, but in the interest of time, I'm only going to show you this one, which is called Smug Owl. Made with VO3, and when we were building this, Nano Banana wasn't around. It was only in the last week of the production that it was around, and that changed everything up. We made two videos. The first one, this one, took 3 weeks to figure everything out. The second video, called DJ Neighbor, only took 5 days. Next slide. Again, yes. So why are we doing above the line content? So Loop, it's an e-com brand. We're doing great. We've scaled a lot thanks to Google, thanks to our ad strategy, also thanks to our beautiful products. But like many other e-com brands, we are stagnating in some markets. Above the line, it's like the top of funnel content. It helps us with customer acquisition. Like new customers who don't know Loop, you can't just barge in with like 50% off. You have to build a bit of story. You have to like foster that emotional connection. And above the line content helps you with that. Thing is though, as Teresa showed, it's quite expensive. $500,000. That's maybe the upper bound for some clients. For other clients, it's the lower bound. But for us, an ATL video, it's around 60, 70K, which is quite expensive if you want to acquire new customers or target like new types of customers. For example, Loop is a rather feminine brand. We want to target more men, more male-oriented audiences. With ATL, we can actually test things. And the game changer was AI, because AI allows us to build these small narratives, these small stories, without having to spend like a couple of weeks in pre-production or having to spend up to 60,000 euros. So AI allows brands like Loop to de-risk growth. So how do we go from like mood boards, or even before that, a simple script that our creative director together with our art director wrote? How did we come from this, or go from this, to being featured on Google's blog, being in this call, and actually producing one of the first above the line videos? I will tell you the secret, and the biggest takeaway I can share with you is that we've ignored all the LinkedIn bros and their frameworks. You know them, you browse on LinkedIn or on X and you see people saying, if you copy paste this prompt, you will get the perfect output. If you just comment in the DMs, I will send you a guide, and if you just use that and put that in Gemini, you'll get the perfect automated flow. But as everyone here in this call will probably acknowledge, creativity doesn't work like that. The problem I have from my experience, like being obsessed with AI and building a lot of stuff, is that these frameworks, they give a false sense of control. And they also, and as the most important learning I can share in regards to AI, is that they ignore the fundamental truth about AI, which is AI isn't software. AI kind of sits in a weird place between, on the one hand, you have like software that we know, and on the other side, you have like people, collaborators. And the thing is with AI, whether it's Gemini, whether it's VO3, it sits between a tool and a collaborator. And we as people, organizations, we have this tendency to put things into frameworks, to expect that when you ask something to software, when you give a command, it gives an exact output. But everyone knows that AI doesn't work like that. And some people say it's like it's a bug, but it's actually an inherent feature of these models. So I think the best way to get good at AI is to manage expectations and just acknowledge that AI is a new type of paradigm that sits between tool and collaborator. So the skill isn't really like picking it's in a binary way, like tool or collaborator. It's knowing or just understanding that it's a spectrum that you have to navigate between. And the one thing I can share, there's two sides of it. Our biggest key to success, the reason we actually managed to pull this off is because we use the same team as our live actions. So currently running on YouTube, we have 2 live action spots and 2 AI ATL spots, and we use the same creative director, same art director, and same editor and same color grader. We had myself and a friend of mine who did all the AI stuff with like VO3 and Nano Banana, but 90% of the team had never worked with AI before. And that was actually the key to our success. Because these people, they could look with the same quality of standard, with the same creative eye, to our AI videos as they did with the live action videos. And I don't think you need to replace your people with AI people, whatever that means, or prompt engineers. I think the expertise to become really good at AI, to really understand what the nuances is of your brand, how a edit needs to flow, how to have an arc in there. Most companies, most agencies, they already have those people. So becoming good at AI, yeah, there's definitely a skill involved in prompting and learning how to like log into Vertex and work with AI. But fundamentally, AI really lowers the barrier of entry. Everyone can prompt, but it also raises the ceiling, meaning that, yes, anyone can create stuff with AI, but that doesn't mean that everything that is created with AI looks good. That's why like cultivating that creative team is more important than ever. And I think the biggest skill or the biggest feature as a human you can cultivate in the age of AI is taste. So what really helped with AI, because with AI you can create infinite variations, is to have clear creative guidelines. You can't see it here, but our creative director, our art director saying, this woman has to wear this clothing, this building has to look like this, needs to make sense. They approached the AI shots, the AI art directions, the same way they would approach a location scouting for a live action shoot. So the fact that for them it was kind of the same standard quality or standard of quality, as I've said, was a real game changer. And we also had producers. Like producers are the people making sure that you keep on track, you stay within budget. And it might seem like a very practical thing, but with a technology that kind of doesn't really follow exact instructions, where you can create ad infinitum, having those boundaries from the creative side, but also from production side is super crucial. And the thing that allowed us to really define that style in Nano Banana, and then later in VO3, was having an art director who said like, this woman has to be blonde, her nightgown has to look like this, and this is the type of lighting. So by just bringing together some references, we could go into Nano Banana and start prompting them, okay, this woman in this setting, and then later animate it. Same for the other video, the DJ neighbor. We had a specific idea about what the DJ neighbor, the annoying little guy playing loud music next to you. Our art and creative director had a very clear view on what this person should look like. So to make it practical, what was our high-level approach? And this is an evergreen approach you can apply, I think, across any production. Is first, you need to define your characters, your consistency, as Teresa said. And you do that by having references, but those references need to land in an image. So what we did was we combined those references, we put them in Claude, in Gemini, and then asked to extract some features like, okay, this is a mood board. Can you like write in a prompt, in a text to image prompt? Can you make a prompt that combines all these references into one character. And for the woman, it was the nightgown, it was the way her hair was cut, and the way she was wearing her hair, and all these other things. So the first step was using AI to create a text-to-image prompt. Once we got that image prompt, we put it in Nano Banana, and we got a baseline. And this baseline character, which was just like, I think, the upper body of the woman, or in the other video, the man, was like the ground truth for all the other stills. So based on that image, we could create other images in different settings. We wanted to have the same woman, but if you want to have the same woman consistent across all your scenes, AI needs to know what the woman looks like. So that's a very concrete tip. If you generate your character, make sure the lighting is good. You can always change the lighting later with Nano Banana with your prompt, or even in VO3. But if the lighting is if it's not lit enough, it's very difficult for AI to see all the features and then apply it consistently. So once we got that baseline character, we placed it in different scenes. So we didn't really use text to video, because just like with the live action, you really want to define the composition first, making sure that everything is correct. There's not too much hallucinations. And once you're there, you can start animating these individual images and then bring them together in an edit. So people on Reddit, on X, on LinkedIn are sharing these convoluted, very complex workflows, but it's basically like, just upload your mood images to Gemini and ask it like, hey, can you create a prompt? That's step one. Step two is like, okay, let's turn this prompt into an image. Step three is, okay, can you, based on this image, create different scenes? The woman waking up, the woman pushing the shopping cart, the woman lying in her bed. And then step four is like, okay, can you create different animations based on this? And that was basically it. And yeah, maybe you'll say like, hey, Vince, you're like demeaning frameworks, but you're using a framework yourself. This isn't really a framework. It's more like a scaffolding. And this is a scaffolding that I've honed over the past, let's say, 2.5 years. But it's also something rooted in how these models work, and is an evergreen approach you could apply to almost every production, as I said previously. So the first one is like really thinking about the prompts, like, okay, what model are we going to use? I think the update, the Gemini 3, we unfortunately didn't have access to it while we're making this production. But from my early tests, it's really good at capturing nuance and creativity. We used Claude in that previous ATL videos, because Claude, Anthropic is also a partner of Google's. It's really good at capturing the nuances. It's much better at creativity. I could have tried it with like ChatGPT, trying to convey those nuances, but by just selecting Claude and just throwing in the mood boards and my questions in there, it gave me much better output, and it was just better consistent. The second thing is, it's the context, it's the system instructions, the system prompt, it's the gem or like custom GPT or a project. That's where you save yourself a lot of time. So you have your prompt, you have your model, but if you have to ask every single time to Gemini or Claude or whatever, like, okay, can you make a Nano Banana semantic editing prompt, or can you make a VO3 prompt? If you have to repeat the same thing every single time, yeah, you get tiresome. Or you get tired, because with these productions, you want to move fast, you want to iterate a lot, you want to stay in that creative flow state. And if you have to repeat the same thing every single time, you just lose interest. So what we did was we created a system prompt trained or referring to the documentation about how VO3 works, how Nano Banana works, just the documentation you can find on the Vertex platform. And we asked Gemini and Claude to make a system prompt based on that. So when I asked, hey, can you make a Nano Banana prompt for this? It immediately knew the nuances, how it could formulate it. Like, how to formulate a VO3 prompt or a Nano Banana prompt, it's not really an exact science. It's very difficult to get that exact output, but by putting everything in a gem in Gemini or like a project in Claude allows you to iterate much quicker. And it was just a system prompt and then like 3 documents, the white paper of VO3, some best practices for VO3, and then like the official documentation of Nano Banana, basically that. The second thing is, and that's a new feature that a lot of these models are including, is memory. If you use AI a lot, AI will detect patterns, not just patterns about you, but also the way you prompt. So instead of having to like reiterate every single time, even with that context, you can just say like, hey, based on our previous ATL project, could you give me some best practices or things I should avoid? Many people, they're like, how should I start prompting Gemini? What should be my first prompt? How should I start? Simply asking Gemini, how should I start? I'm a bit stuck, is the best way to get started. And again, these models aren't people, even though some people treat them like people, but they're not exactly software either. There's something in between. And yes, when you want to create a prompt for VO 3.1 or Nano Banana, it has to be like specific, contextual. But when you want to have some input, creative input, you can treat Gemini like some sort of sparring partner. And if you do that a lot, not only will you develop some sort of intuition, which is the next part, but Gemini will also pick up some details that makes prompting and interacting with these models a much better user experience. And then the fourth part, the fourth element of this scaffolding is just, I call it AI intuition. And there's a lot of people on YouTube making videos, and there's a lot of best practices out there. But the people building these models, Ilya Sutskever, one of the inventors of the transformer architecture that was invented at Google, said, like, there's no amount of white paper or article that will trump intuition. And the bottom line is, the more you use these models, the more you interact with these models, the more you switch between VO 3.1 fast versus high, or Nano Banana or other semantic editing tools, the more you develop an intuition on how these models work. And it's, for some people, they brush it off like, yeah, it's not really a hard skill. But I think in the age of AI, in an age of these new types of intelligences that are not tools, but not people either, I think that intuition is going to become the biggest differentiator. Because the more you interact with these models, the better you can like pull out good prompts, you can curate output. Because basically our approach with these ATL videos was like generating a lot of stills, then animating them, and then just scrolling through Google Flow, and then this is what my editor wants, and then scrolling a bit further down, and then seeing like, okay, this is what the creative director wants. So I think that's a very important fourth pillar of that scaffolding, is just use those models a lot. And if you do that, you will develop an intuition that will be far more powerful and relevant than any other framework on LinkedIn. And I think this is also very important. I said it in the beginning, and will also reiterate it at the end, having a world-class creative team, having people with taste. And with taste, it's not like these people have like a degree in taste or are like the most creative people on the planet. No, these are people that go to museums. Those are people that watch videos. Those are people that just enrich their cultural soul. And that makes them so good at like looking at all the magic that AI creates and then bring it together in a coherent edit. And a very concrete example, our creative director with the other video said like, I want you to do like an exterior shots of the building and only have the window of the DJ neighbor lit. Why, I asked? He said, well, if you do that, it will increase the production value of your entire production. Only someone who's done a lot of live action productions, only a very seasoned creative director can think in those terms when working with something that's not physical at all. And I think that's the biggest tip, is like cultivate that creative team, give them access to the tools, but also make sure that you are pragmatic. Like if you want to make the video for your nephew or you want to make a personal video, spend as much time as you want. But when you're making videos that have to go live on YouTube as some sort of performance asset, you can't just create ad infinitum. So at some point, you just have to like take your wins and cut your losses. These models are becoming better, and especially with the multimodality, I'm pretty sure we'll get like pixel perfect or vector perfect output in the next couple of months. But right now, you can get there pretty close, but it's also important to be very pragmatic when you're doing these productions. And I think that's it. I'm still here for your questions, but thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Vince. This was super, super inspiring. I learned a lot, and I'm sure the viewers as well. Up next, we have the live Q&A that is upcoming. So feel free to submit the questions in the live chat if you haven't already. And we'll start in just a couple of seconds of moments. on the screen right now. Amazing. Liza will join us very shortly as well. Like mentioned before, we had a lot of pre-submitted questions and also already some live questions. So let's go through them right now. Also, a quick reminder, we can go a bit over time, 10 minutes. If you're all still are ready to stay, we'll try and make use of that extra time to answer a bit more questions. But let's dive right in. So the first pre-submitted question that we had was, how do we create a long-form video using VO 3.1? Maybe Teresa, you can take a stab at that one.
Yes, perfect. Thank you for the question as well. This is something that we talk about a lot because, I mentioned it, and most of the people that use it should already be aware as well that with VO3 you get up to 8 seconds. You can change it to be a bit shorter as well, but 8 seconds is the max. So the idea behind that is that the focus of these videos is really to have that high quality on short form content, having the aspect of social media in the back of the mind. But if you do want to go to longer form video content, there's a way to do it. And Vince can also probably talk about this for hours, how you can do that, different tools you have for that. When it comes to the technical side of things, there are different tools in your hand to do that. So for example, what we always say in order to get nice transitions between different scenes. So the idea is you would always think like a creator, stitch scenes together. In order to get that consistency, you can provide references. You can go from like first frame to last frame, and then take the last frame from the first scene and go from image to video to get to that second scene, and so on and so forth. There are some ways of controls that you have to get to longer form content. And then additionally to that, as of today, there will also soon be a feature for you to automatically enlarge videos. This is not available yet, but that is something that people also work on, or the creators of VO are working on.
Thanks so much, Teresa. Second question that we have, does VO 3.1 allow for easy generation of multiple aspect ratios, 69, 11, 916, from a single prompt to serve different placements like YouTube, Discover, or Shorts? Maybe Liza, can you?
Yes, sure. I can talk about it. And currently, it's indeed possible to create in different ratios, particularly 16:9 and 9:16. But it's important to note that you would have to choose which ratio to go for in the beginning, because when right before creating the video, you have to decide which ratio you go for. Then you insert the prompt, and then you get the video. But unfortunately, you won't be able to get it in two formats. So hopefully it will be possible in the future, but now you would have to decide which format to go for. And also these formats are available for all of the models. So if you want to create with VO3, with VO 3.1, VO 3 fast, so all these formats will be available for all, but you would have to decide which one to go for prior to creating the video.
Cool, thanks. Another question we have is the following. You mentioned the biggest challenging was consistency. Can you walk through your workflow for getting a character to carry cleanly from one shot to the next? And beyond character, how did you ensure environmental consistency?
Yes, that's the question, of course. So what we did was, as I said in the beginning, we first used Nano Banana or Imagine 4, the text-to-image tool from Google, to create like the baseline character, brightly lit, so that all the features are available. And then I just popped them in like Claude or like Gemini and asked like, okay, can you create a Nano Banana prompt? And then it just looks at the image, and then it starts the prompt with, using the reference image, please place this person in this setting. Do make sure that the person is consistent. You don't change the person, but that you put it logically in the setting. And that's the game changer with Nano Banana. You can really do semantic editing. When you then put that prompt with that image in Nano Banana, it really knows I can't touch the person, but I need to place him sitting behind the chair. Or I need to put this woman wearing the same clothing, pushing the cart. Now, with the owl video, the other one is on our LinkedIn. We didn't have Nano Banana yet, so some of these shots we really had to do with like try to recreate the same shot. But with Nano Banana, you can just upload a very clear reference image and then ask, okay, put this person in there, but don't change the way the person looks. But you can go further. You can change the way the person dresses and it will still retain the facial features, which is amazing. In terms of environment consistency, what we did then is like, okay, we want to have shot 3, which needs to be like the same environment, also the same person. What we then did was we uploaded the original reference image, but also the last shot from the previous shot, maybe a wide shot, combine them in like, or just put them in our prompt, and then ask Nano Banana to combine them in a different angle. And by providing the original character reference with like the environmental reference, Nano Banana knows like, I need to make sure the person is consistent. The environment is consistent, but I need to do it from a different angle.
Thank you so much. The next question we have is, what is the maximum video resolution and frame rate that Veo 3.1 can generate? And how does that compare to industry standard specs for YouTube/discovery ads? Liza, do you want to take a stab at that one?
Yeah, so we currently have 2 resolutions, 720 and 1080p. They actually have the same price. So if you're generating the video, you can just in the description say which resolution do you need, but then the price of the generation will be the same, and they should fit the industry standards. So quite easy to choose, generate, and the price is definitely the positive part.
Thank you so much. I think we have time maybe for a couple more questions. The next one that we have here, for Veo 3.1 outputs used in commercial advertising, what is Google Cloud's stance on copyright and indemnification for enterprise customers using the model on Vertex AI? Maybe this question for you, Lisa.
Yeah, very good question, honestly. And I'm talking about this specific point a lot with our customers. And this is something where the copyright indemnification comes into play. Actually, we can check that in the terms. There's an official guide that has that attached. So Veo and Gemini, so there's a list of Gen AI indemnified services, that's what we call them. And so what that means is, in general, what you get is the guarantee that when these models, including Veo, Gemini, when they're trained, they're not trained on any copyright data. And so also your data that you put in, it's not going to be used. You have that guarantee. It's not going to be used to train or fine tune these models. That's the guarantee that Google gives you in general. And then when it comes to the copyright indemnification, with this, what Google also additionally tells you is that should there be any copyright claim, or should you get sued for that matter, Google will actually guarantee to step in and support you legally when it should come to that type of situation. And that's just how safe, secure and sure people that develop these models are, that they should not infringe any copyrights.
Cool, thanks so much. Let's go and do maybe 1 or 2 more questions. The next one we have, is there a recommended minimum number or variety of Veo 3.1 generated videos we should be feeding into a single PMax asset group to maximize performance? Yeah, I can take that one actually. So we always recommend to have at least 3 videos minimum. That's kind of the basic standard that you should usually have. In terms of the content-wise, ideally, since PMax is a more lower funnel-based campaign, we want to really focus the content on it being more action-oriented, whether that be through a kind of testimonial or sort of how-to type of content. Those will really help boost that kind of assets and performance. Then the next one, what was the absolute biggest and most surprising learning curve for your team who had no prior AI experience? That's towards Vince.
Yes. Yeah, to wrap it up, I think on the one hand, these models are really good at like the Hollywood stuff, the explosive stuff, but having a woman pushing a cart over the supermarket parking lot, that's super difficult. If I just filmed my girlfriend pushing the supermarket cart, it would have been much easier. So with AI, it's like these simple shots. Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's definitely in the model, but you need to know how to prompt. And the second thing was for like non-AI people. It's like when you prompt, it's kind of like negotiating. When you want like this specific lighting, it's sometimes at the expense of consistency. But the cool thing about Veo 3 specifically is that it's so good at physics and lighting. Because with other models, you can have like maybe the perfect shot, the composition, but then when you start animating it, the physics just don't match. And we're not trying to create some sort of unrealistic video. We tried to create something that was relatable. The 2 words that I still dream of that my creative director said was human vignettes. And that's something that we really try to capture. And for the non-AI creative team, it was really like coming to terms with that reality. Like when I'm prompting, it's kind of like negotiating. But once you get into the flow and once you understand what these models are, you really get in that flow state. And it's one of the most amazing experiences ever.
Cool. Thank you so much. Let's wrap up the Q&A for now. And that is kind of the end of the session pretty much. Thank you so much for joining us today. One last ask before I let you go. If you can please fill out this 1-minute feedback form. That way we as a team can also understand better which kind of sessions you would like to see in the future and make it more tailored to your needs. And then lastly, all the resources, key takeaways, and a recording of the session will be available and shared with you after in a couple of days, I assume. So that's a wrap. Have a great rest of the day, everyone, and thank you. Bye.